and thank you for joining today. I'm Fred Coast, Vice President of Product Marketing, and I'll be joined today by some of my colleagues and security experts. The topic today is why cloud security identity is broken. Let's get started. Time and time again, mistakes and gaps give attackers the advantage. And what are some of the reasons? We see misconfigurations, whether it's due to complexity or inexperience of the user. We see patching as a root cause. Organizations are slow to patch, or they just have poor hygiene keeping patches maintained. We see a lot of privilege misuse. Users are over-provisioned, or the credentials are stolen and misused in an attack. We see encryption not deployed or poorly managed. Poor key management, poor policies make it less effective. And then finally, humans. They continue to be the weakest link. We try lots of training and try to fix this, but we really got to remove the human variable to address this last component. Now, cloud provides an opportunity to change. With the automation, built-in security, and much more default-enabled security, organizations stand a much better chance of defending against attacks. And in fact, we found that organizations agree. 75% of respondents in our cloud threat report say that they believe the public cloud can be more secure than their own data center. That's 3/4 of the respondents. And 66% in another survey cited security as the biggest benefit of cloud. And they put this ahead of things like cost reduction, scalability, ease of use, and speed, sort of the most common strong attributes of the cloud. But the cloud can be more secure. In fact, Gartner points out that about 99% of failures in cloud will be due to customer mistakes. So cloud providers can be very secure at providing a secure platform, but customers need to use that platform. We have to make it easier for customers to deal with, less complexity and reaping the benefits of cloud. And to talk more about that and what we're doing at Oracle to make it easy for customers, I want to introduce Bala Chandra, our VP of Product Development for Security.
Hi, my name is Bala Chandran, and I'm the Vice President for Software Development of our security products over at Oracle Cloud. And today I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the problems I see in cloud security today and how we at Oracle think there's a different way to do it. So if you look at cloud security, and I've been a consumer of security products for over 20 years in my career, the challenge you as a customer always has is that you're trying to configure security over a very complex cloud environment, something ranging from tens of databases to 20 different services. And you're trying to set permissions, rules, configurations across all these systems and interpreting a 100-page security best practices PDF that either the cloud provider or your security architect has put together. And invariably, there are misconfigurations and problems through this process. And 99% of the breaches and security issues we see are due to this exact feature. So customers don't get breached because they don't have the tools. The tools exist, but they get breached because the tools are way too complicated. And that is the fundamental challenge and problem we are solving over at Oracle Cloud. So we think there is a different way to do security, and that way is a simple, transparent, integrated, prescriptive approach to security. Simple but not simplistic, a prescriptive approach to security that bakes in all the security you need across your database, across your SaaS applications, across your cloud infrastructure, across your identity, and provides you as a customer an easily enforceable set of best practices that you can deploy across your entire stack. And that's what we're trying to do over at Oracle Cloud across the four main pillars of security. So number one, we've got the Oracle Autonomous Database. So the Oracle Autonomous Database is the one, unlike other providers, we think at Oracle that you only need one database to solve and store your data stores across your data warehouse needs, your transactional needs, or any other database needs. And from a security standpoint, what this means for you is that there's only one set of policies and access and monitoring that you need to set up. And what's even better is that with Autonomous Database, we do all of that for you. We set that security baseline automatically for you and maintain it for you. We patch automatically. We report automatically. We provide information to you about who's accessing what and how. The number two is our Oracle identity system. So we have a single identity system that spans our SaaS applications, our Oracle database, our cloud infrastructure, so that when you set one set of rules, for example, you have somebody who left your company and you revoke their credentials in your HR system, that flows through to your databases, to your computers, to your networks, and it's all in one step for you. And that single identity is a huge, huge security benefit. The number three is our Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, which is really the fundamental layer upon which we build all of these various systems. So the computers, the networks, the monitoring, the edge systems that we have, all have security baked into them. And they have been architected that way. And I'll talk a little bit more about some details there. And number four, our SaaS applications. So you're running your business on Oracle, and that could be your ERP system, your HR system, your financial system. You close your books on Oracle. And the SaaS applications, we make sure are running on the database, are running on the cloud infrastructure. So they inherit everything we just talked about, but also they have very secure isolation and tenancy built into the applications themselves. Now, I could go in depth about each of these layers, but I'm going to talk to you today about a couple of examples in the cloud infrastructure layer about how we're doing things differently in a simple prescriptive way. So if you look at the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure layer, and by infrastructure, again, I mean everything from the data, the computers, the network, the monitoring, the edge internet gateways through which you access the system, the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is really a Gen 2 cloud. It was architected in 2016, so just 5 years ago, and it has a number of things from a security standpoint baked in that other cloud providers ended up retrofitting later. For example, Oracle provided bare metal access for customers, meaning you as a customer get complete control down to the actual metal of the box itself on our Oracle Cloud. And what this means is, of course, with greater access, Oracle, when we designed the cloud, we designed it in such a way that even though you're able to get greater access, you have the security guarantees that you want baked in. So for example, we have a hardware card that sits on the module itself that makes sure only secure packages get installed, or that the network virtualization is done really securely between instances so that data doesn't accidentally leak from one system to the other. We also make sure all the data in our system, from the database to object storage to block storage to files, are all encrypted using our key management service with keys that are stored and controlled by our customers in a hardware module. Again, these are FIPS compliant modules that are tamper-proof. So really you have guarantees on all these, the encryption of the data at rest built into the system. A lot more examples here, but the basic point I want to make is that the on by default nature of security of Oracle Cloud gives you guarantees as a customer that when you build these applications on us, you are automatically building upon a layer of really hardened infrastructure. Now, of course, having a hardened infrastructure is one aspect of the problem, but of course, how do you then build the application in a secure way and monitor that it's running in a secure way on Oracle Cloud? To do that, we introduced two products last year that I think are very innovative. One is called Maximum Security Zones, and the other one is called Cloud Guard, and they work hand in hand together, so I'll explain how. Now, Maximum Security Zones establishes a really trustable boundary within your environment. So you specify that this particular zone is a maximum security zone in my Oracle Cloud. And when you do that, we automatically enforce a recipe of policies for you. And so recipe is, I talked previously about the problem of this 100-page PDF and trying to enforce all those policies. What we're doing with the maximum security zones is really enforcing that into a set of policies that cannot be turned off. So for example, we all know that public buckets accessed over the internet is a big security risk. So you can turn that off in a security zone. And then when a developer tries to accidentally create one, they're not allowed to. So it's automatically enforced for you, these recipes. So we give you guidelines and parameters within which you can build really secure applications. And these range from networking to database to stores, like we talked about. And then once you've built the application and deployed it, we've got a product CloudGuard that automatically watches over this application. It watches over all the configuration settings to make sure they don't drift from what you originally intended. It watches over the activity on the system to make sure that you don't have people accessing the system from known bad IP addresses or known tar exit nodes, for example. So it watches over the activity and configuration to make sure your posture is as good as when you started out and alerts you and even fixes for you automatically a number of the common security configuration problems. So the combination of a secure base layer with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure with these innovative products like security zones and CloudGuard provides you as a customer a very simple and prescriptive way in which you can access security. Now, this, of course, is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more we do on the database, on the SaaS applications, on Oracle Cloud, Oracle Identity as well. And there's a lot more to talk about. But I wanted to give you a flavor of what we do in Oracle Cloud, why we think there's a simple approach to security that solves a lot of our customer needs and how we're different. So thank you for listening, and hope you have a great day.
Next up, we have Jeppe Larsen, who leads product development for our cloud identity products. Well, welcome, Jeppe.
Hi, Fred. Thank you.
Hey, Jeppe, identity's become a big topic for customers. A lot of talk about zero trust. A shout out to my buddy John Kindervag on that one, and really talk about identity becoming the new perimeter. What are you hearing from customers when it comes to identity access management?
Yeah, I mean, first, I think it's important to understand that zero trust is really a mindset or a strategy. It's not really like a specific technology. But our customers are large and complex, right? And they have IT resources across multiple clouds, and they want to retain some on-prem footprint for several years to come for sure. So identity really has become the security control plane that has to span all this stuff. And we absolutely have to start from a place of zero trust. For example, even if a user presents valid credentials, that's not enough to expose certain high-risk resources, because as we know, credentials are stolen all the time and absolutely may be unreliable as the sole sort of authentication mechanism.
Oracle's been a leader in the identity market for quite a long time. So what are you and your team doing that's going to help address the needs of these customers as they look to zero trust in this new perimeter?
Yeah. So if you flash back to the key design principles of the Oracle Cloud Security that was mentioned earlier, we know that it's absolutely critical to make security simpler. So the next generation of IAM, as we see it, needs to be easy to use and manage first off, right? We recognize that some of the older IAM implementations grew difficult to manage over time. And in the cloud, this just can't be the case. So security must also be on by default and transparent to our users. For example, adaptive access is a big thing, and leveraging passwordless authentication using trusted devices or third-party authentication keys are becoming very popular to make life easier for users while also maintaining a high bar for security. And then we also really believe that IAM needs to be a lot more prescriptive. It needs to provide guidance to administrators and on how to build better policies and how to understand where all the risk lies. And finally, a key part of what we want to do is it should automate a lot of the tasks, right? It should automate policy improvements to address and reduce risk. And we don't think IAM administrators should have to be technology experts. The technology should really provide the expertise and shift the burden to Oracle and just help business users that way make better decisions. And of course, a key thing is IAM should be unified and integrated for a seamless experience across apps and infrastructure and across cloud and hybrid, and work seamlessly across Oracle and third-party apps. Anyone who's been in the IAM space for a really long time knows that standing up multiple IAM silos is not the best answer. It typically just adds complexity in an effort to address some deficiency in one of these IAM silos. And that's really why we believe the next generation of IAM should address all of those business requirements across a complex IT landscape with a single unified service.
That sounds great. You've done a lot of like critical IAM kind of capabilities, I'd say. So how do you accomplish this? How do you pull this off?
Yeah, fundamentally, our strategy is to provide a unified cloud IAM platform that brings together all of the functionality that we have today from Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Identity and Access Management, or known also as OCI IAM, and our Oracle Identity Cloud Service into a single cloud-native SaaS-delivered IAM platform. And this unified service will address several use cases. First of all, it will provide critical access control plane for OCI IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS services, really enabling customers to manage access to all their subscribed services at Oracle in a single place. Remember that Oracle has made huge investments in cloud and apps, ERP, HCM, financial, et cetera. And so the IAM service is absolutely critical to the success of the company, and we will continue to be focused on delivering new innovations and continued investments in this area. Secondly, it stands on its own. It has to stand on its own as an enterprise IAM solution. That while a native SaaS service of OCI, it reaches across other clouds and SaaS services and into on-prem environments to enable SSO and the ability for our admins to manage permissions for all of the critical enterprise applications that are available in a large organization. And another third key point is it's fully API enabled. It's a fully API enabled IAM platform for app developers who want to secure their customer and consumer facing applications. So this is really a very flexible solution with component parts that enable a broad array of integrations. Some are native, some are through proxies, bridges, gateways, or APIs. And what we're delivering is really you can think of a fabric architecture that's tough and resilient, but also flexible enough to handle a wide variety of use cases across employee, partner, and consumer scenarios. Today we already support hundreds of millions of users with billions of requests daily, and this service will continue to scale and perform, and we will make it available in all of Oracle's 30 plus regions around the world, and so thereby supporting all the critical data residency requirements that our customers have by being locally deployed in all regions. So as you can imagine, we're super excited about this major next step in OCI IAM, and we look forward to sharing a lot more about this in the near future.
Yeah, but great stuff. Thanks for sharing. I know with customers looking to think about identity as a service in the cloud, you've teed up a great solution. So thanks for joining us today to share some of your insights and where you're headed. I'm excited to have Johnny Constantis with us today. Johnny is Group Vice President and leads the Cloud Security Field Engineering team in North America. Johnny moved from products over to help our customers go live in the cloud and deploy security solutions. So welcome, Johnny.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fred. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, likewise, fun to have another conversation. Okay, so to start off, once a customer selects a public cloud provider, what are the security team's priorities in helping them get their workloads live?
Right. So there are a couple considerations. I think the first thing is designing for the public cloud, adequately envisioning what the segmentation is going to be for the workload or workloads, writing down and envisioning the policies, who will have access to what. The next step is making all of that real. So we call that creating a secure landing zone for the tenancy. Think about it as a secure foundation for all the things that you'll be building on the public cloud. And the third critical piece is operationalizing security. That's a big, long word. That's a modern vocabulary word, but essentially it means the continuous monitoring of your tenancy to ensure security and security controls are in place. There's no drift, and staying aware of, the bad guys and keeping them out.
So we've talked in the session today a lot about moving to cloud and how that can actually be easier, but what are some of the challenges to actually building a secure tenancy to these tenancies you were just describing?
Right. Well, a lot of customers have a footprint both on premises and in other public clouds. And one of the major things they want to do is have consistency across the entirety of their estate. And that usually means replicating the security groups, replicating the segmentation. That can be difficult given that each public cloud provider may provide slightly different set of capabilities and tools on how to do this. So that's one thing, as ensuring that you have consistency and that you're building these tendencies on sound principles. You want to follow, and in our case, our benchmarks, which we published on the Center for Internet Security website. And those benchmarks ensure that you've covered off on all the best practices and not missed any. Some of the other challenges are tooling, really. So OCI provides a lot of built-in rich security capabilities that are native to our cloud. But customers may want to use those in addition to best-of-breed tools that are available in the industry. And there has to be an envisioning of and an actualizing of that architecture, both of the cloud-native tools and the ones for which customers have a preference. So those are probably the biggest challenges. Continuous monitoring, of course, that's a 24/7 activity. And the challenge there is you want to make sure you're instrumented right, that you have those sensors everywhere that you need them on your public cloud tenancy, always giving you the kind of the full picture of your security posture and ensuring that you can bring that posture to the ideal or desired state.
So earlier, a few minutes ago, you were talking about moving workloads to the cloud and getting them live, and you mentioned operationalizing security. What do you mean by operationalizing security?
Yeah, so right, your security operations are what? They're those teams that are doing that monitoring 24/7. They're proactively scanning the tenancy to ensure that malware isn't present, that you don't have activities that are considered anomalous. And generally, there are architectures in place that will aggregate signal and allow for analysis of it in order to ensure the security posture. So for someone coming to our cloud, we want to make sure that we take the rich data sets that we have, logs, events, configurations, and we provide those as a stream, by the way, through our logging service. And we want to pipe that into the aggregation layer of our tenant or our customer. And that's usually a security information and event management system, or a SIEM. And it can also be additionally scanning platforms, trouble ticketing platforms, all the things that a security operations team uses to essentially detect, remediate threat, and maintain the cloud security posture.
So you mentioned earlier, I think you said security landing zone, but curious, how does your team work with customers to deploy and operate in the cloud? Are there a certain set of things you guys provide or do for the customer?
Right. So this is, I think, one key area of differentiation for Oracle Cloud. So as you mentioned, I run cloud field engineering, the security team. And our engineers stand at the ready to help customers build this secure foundation or secure landing zone. And we do that through, of course, guidance that we provide and blog posts and user guides. We've created code, Terraform, that we give to customers so that they can actually self-service this. But you could argue that a lot of the premier public cloud providers like Oracle provide this kind of team, this kind of field engineering or security field engineering team. In Oracle's case, the Oracle Cloud, we go a step further. We do something called included services, which is basically a set of security services and other types of services that actually help customers build that secure landing zone and operationalize security. So when a customer comes to us, we don't just hand them a bag of tools and say, hey, look at us, we have all these great cloud native tools to give you. Please use them as your expertise allows. We actually keep our engineers with the customer through the totality of their onboarding experience until the go live date to help them build that foundation. And that means getting on a Zoom call and just stepping through the instructions on how to do it. It means holding office hours with them. It means holding at least weekly, if not more check-ins and scrums with them. So we are with our customers all the way through until their workload is not just live, but operating securely and operationalized for security.
I don't recall, I've heard a lot of other cloud providers talk about this. Are these, you call them included services, is it really unique to us in Oracle?
It is. I mean, it is. A lot of public cloud providers may offer this as part of a consulting services engagement, which can be quite expensive. While these sorts of services are at a premium, they require highly skilled people like the folks on my team. We feel it's really important when we say security is built in. It's not just from the tooling perspective. It's really built in from the experiential perspective of onboarding to our cloud. So yes, it is truly unique to Oracle Cloud.
Johnny, thanks for taking time to chat today. Unfortunately, it's a virtual conversation and we won't be meeting at RSA this year, but I look forward to reconnecting when we can. Thanks.
Likewise, thank you.
I want to say thank you for spending time with Oracle at RSA, albeit virtual this year. No wandering the halls of Moscone or trouncing up and down Howard Street. But if we've talked about today piqued your interest and you want to learn more, check out the virtual booth and I'll call your attention to 3 specific things. You can check out a demo of the cloud infrastructure security, database security, or the identity and access management products in the booth, or you can learn more from assets there. Second thing, you can actually have a Q&A chat with an expert at Oracle to talk about any of these products and solutions you heard about today. And finally, if you want to go further, you can schedule an appointment for a deeper conversation outside the virtual realm. So thank you again for joining. You can learn more at oracle.com/security or simply search Oracle Security. Thanks for joining.